Okay, I've shown you a lot of astrotheological things here lately. This one has to do with another thing to do with the square of Pegasus and how it's right there near God that I talked about before. So I'm going to show you something different. This is from the Neptunes, the people of Petra. So as you think of it as that place in Indiana Jones where they go to and the Holy Grail and all that. Well, what this is this is the face of God. What it's made out of is a niche. And what it is a recessed window, false door if you will, that a deity is supposed to be set in front of or into that niche that's right there. Now a lot of places you won't find the niche that's there, but it's supposed to actually be connected to heaven. And there's a niche that's in heaven. And so we've been talking about the Pegasus square in a lot of different stories other than actually Pegasus itself, and how that square can mean field and all kinds of things with the ark and all kinds of things. Well, Lugab is the normal word in Sumerian for this ancient constellation they had going on. It's the Pegasus square. And Mul-Leu means celestial tablet, but Mul means stars, basically. And so it's a star tablet, right? Now, if you use it in a capital E form of writing, if you will, it means to name or reciting, to recite something from the celestial tablets. You know, the Sumerians made all those tablets. Well, if you'll look, the shape of the tablet is pretty much right there, and then they put the writing on it, which is supposed to fill up the outer square of Pegasus here. And they've got the tablet sitting inside of it, right? So each tablet can be looked upon or set there. Well, so out of this and the conflagration of words that we talk about in using secondary third forms of meanings of the Sumerians, you get a celestial tablet named the reciting. And this is even shown up in the Quran. This is what they talk about. Somehow there's a book that's up there or whatever. And the Pegasus square is known as Ulu, the Pegasus square. But Ulu actually comes out to be the god. In fact, Ulu is meaning of the god. So this is all of the people up in Anatolia and their areas in Ilu and Ulu, but that stems off of El, of the Canaanites, as in the Bible, and Tempel, Ezekiel, Angel, all the angels' names, like Michael, which is really Michael, Ariel, Gabriel. El is the god of the patriarchs. Before the Babylonian captivity, and they twisted it all around. Here we go. It's also Ilu is where you get Allah from. Allah, Elu, El. So, strange that, huh? But this niches that we're talking about is where people put a god in there and worship him. So it's the connection of heaven and earth as we talk about it. And so what's actually happening here is there's a niche that you would have in a temple area or an area of worship, or perhaps in the domicile of death, where you build a little room for the people to live in the afterlife, and you've got this niche in the wall, like you see in the Egyptians so much. And they talk about it being a false door or a window. This is it, but it's in space, and it's the same thing. And they put a deity in there, and so that's like walking through, because it's already inset, so they're able to pass through stone and end up showing up in the stars. Right? If you follow me. Doesn't necessarily have this face in it. In fact, whenever you take the deity out of that, there's the hidden God concept. Or that it doesn't have an idol or an image, because you want to take the one out of there because that's been looked at as being kind of hokey in some way. Like the Egyptian gods that still had animism and still showed animals attached to deities and concepts that people were looking at the animals for. It's kind of a last remnant of that concept going on, if you will. But you can see it also in the Sumerians with these bird-headed people and so on too. They're massive connectives. You can't look past it. But also, guys and gals, this right here is that book. That's the celestial tablet. Because that's what its original form was. It wasn't really a scroll, was it? It says here in the stars it wasn't. Well, that turned into a tablet. Then we started making books, which is really a collection of little stories all clumped together. And an epic is whenever you try to make it connective. Like the story of Gilgamesh, or this Bible we're talking about, or the Iliad and the Odyssey, or Beowulf, or all of these other tales. Well, this is the book of life. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it in this one too. Don't want to roll it back through and have to stow the same book and the same concept again for no reason. When you're written into this book of life, you're written into this celestial tablet, and so this tablet contains the information that's on it that talks about all the stars that are around there. And here's another secret that has to do with the Sumerians' MEs they talk about, where people took it away. And what is it? Well, it's the measurements and the diameters and this, that, and the other, and the star charts and all that. And whoever has that is going to have all the secret to how we developed all the mythology, and then they're going to do something out of it too. Well, it looks like the Assyrians did. The Greeks got a hold of this concept and really took it off. And I've shown you the Greek connection is in the Bible, but in that I've also shown you the idea of the Greeks taking Tammuz and twisting it around into the same story they have for the reason for spring comes, which is the same thing. It's conflagration. People have noticed this a long time ago. Some of this is just adding on and adding on. Some of this you've never heard of. Something like this you've probably never seen. And talk about it in a way that says, this is the book of life. It's where you're supposed to be written into it. This is a gate of heaven too, that you go into here and you go out of there. So this is the gate of heaven. And if we looked at the star chart again, I could show you where there's a God on both sides, and this is supposed to be Peter and so on, letting you into the pearly gates, which is funny because why is it pearls? Well, right there down below it, and all the other pictures I've been showing you, is actually an ocean, and it's salt water, and they know it, like this. And it's the abyss and the Absu that's right all down in and through here. And yet it's salt water. There's a sea serpent that we talk about, and Tiamat and all kinds of other things. But there's a sea fish here, and there's a dolphin there, and yeah, it's the abyss right that's here. And that square we're talking about is right here, right here. But I guess to end this one, I'll show you again, because I've shown you a few times though. But this is Orion, and Orion's feet are right in the Milky Way band that runs through here, that are supposed to be the 4 sacred rivers that end up making up the Eden story, because that's what's going on here on the ground. And the Tigris and Euphrates are symbolically Pisces, splitting between two and leading out into the Gulf. And there's these other 2 rivers here where the big river people used to make civilization, and it all started with, that the Sumerians were familiar with. And this right here, Orion, who, using his name Dingir Damu, would conflagrate as the Son of God in the stars, Mul Sukal. What does he do? Conflagrating that, you get the idea that he walks upon, treads upon the sea. Here's Jesus walking on water. There's the boat of the disciples. They're going to go over here. He's going to show them where. On the right side of the boat where you catch fish. It's also Noah's Ark coming up and landing near the sacred mountains of Ararat. Come on, this way. Sometimes he's got a bow. Sometimes he's got a golden fleece on him, which I'm going to do a video on too, but that's something separate than this biblical connection, the Sumerian connection thing, is it? Or is it? No, it's not, because the Greek tales and everything all come from this same concept, and they knew these tales and where it exactly came from, and they just configurated the words and came up with theirs. There's no other conclusion when you look at the words they come up with and you find the configuration. It's that simple. But then in the same way, it's taken through Hebrew and into the Bible. Peace.